Welcome to Revitalize and Replant with Mark Clifton and Mark Hallock, where we equip pastors to take their churches from declining to thriving by pointing them to a new future and a new hope. Join us weekly for encouragement and practical advice in your pastoring journey.
Thank you, Dan Hurst, for bringing us in here. I'm Mark Clifton, and this across the table from me is Mark Hallock.
Mark Hallock, nice to meet you.
We are in Orlando at the Southern Baptist Convention. It has just wrapped up without us. I think it finished while we were doing this podcast.
You're right.
I think they didn't need us in there. In fact, they asked us to leave, to be frank about it.
They sent us to this room.
They
said, go talk to each other.
So we're here. We're here. We've enjoyed seeing so many of you.
Oh, man. Don't you love it, man?
I love it when they come up and say, awesome. I love the podcast. I really do.
It's super encouraging.
It really is. It's the same guy who keeps telling me that, but I'm glad he does it.
Yeah.
Hey, we would love to talk to you today about conflict.
Oh, boy. That's
okay,
fun.
now that you've turned off the podcast, because you've got enough conflict in your life. Listen, if you're a pastor and you're leading churches, I don't care if it's a church of 10 people or 10,000 people. Yep. Do we still have churches that large? Do we?
There's a few. Yeah,
they're going down fast, though. But nonetheless...
Not a lot of them. Not a lot.
I don't know. I think that's another story for another day. I'll just say Tom Rainer says the age of the big church is in decline. So if you got a problem with that, you can email Tom Rainer at Church Answers.
Hold on. While we're at it, give us the stat. Give us the stat in SBC life.
Yes.
The reality is, give us the airplane versus...
We just had a small church lunch yesterday.
Which was awesome.
For 1,000 or 1,400, depending on what numbers you want to use. It's just a number. By the way, if you're going to give an attendance, it's always in a 7. It just sounds a lot more realistic. So we had 1,437 people there. But we had a wonderful small church luncheon the other day, and on that small church luncheon, we had the big sign up there. It looks like an old Sunday school attendance board.
That was really
But
cool.
what it said was that if your church averages between 1 and 50 on Sunday morning, you're 44% of all Southern Baptist churches. That just blows people away.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an amazing number.
Yeah.
And if you're between 1 and 100, you're over 70%.
Over 70%.
Of all Southern Baptist churches.
Yeah.
We're all normal-sized churches, guys.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
God can do amazing things in a normal-sized church.
Amen. That's right.
So, absolutely.
Yep.
So why did we even talk about that?
Well, here's why. Well, you were talking about big churches.
Oh, that's
like
right.
the reality, and
the
reality is conflict happens in every size church.
It does. Thank you for bringing me back.
No,
I realize
I'm
that.
helping you. I'm there to help.
My mind begins to wander now that I've crossed the old age level. But yes, whether it's in a normative sized church, a large church, it doesn't matter. Conflict is something you deal with every day. And so we got this wonderful article from many years ago, by the way, and sometimes we do that. We go back and pull articles up from a long, long time ago, and this one came from 2013.
Yeah.
How many years ago is
gold, man.
How
it's
many
gold.
years
13 years ago.
That's 13 years ago.
Yeah.
By Ron Edmondson. And here is, we're going to talk about conflict and how you can deal with it.
That's
Number
right,
one, this is kind of unusual. Number one is rethink, recalibrate, view conflict differently.
Why? What does he mean by that?
Well, if you're like me and most pastors, we don't want to deal with conflict.
Yeah.
Well, it's the last thing we want to do.
We want to avoid it at all costs.
I think I've told you this story before, and we're going to have to do 2 podcasts on this. We're probably not going to get through it.
Okay.
But years ago when I was at Warnell, I'd just been there a brief while, we started reaching some new families. So we had this really kind of tense thing where you had a bunch of older people who'd been there really for 30, 40 years, and then some brand new young couples started coming. And on the one hand, you think, well, that's great. It is. But on the other hand, you've got generic people who make decisions in one way, and you've got some Gen X people who make decisions in another way, generic people who are very tied to the history and heritage of that church, Gen X people who don't care a bit about the history and heritage of that church. And it was the Sunday before Mother's Day. We were going to have a Mother's Day dinner in our church basement. So it was Saturday, I should say, Saturday before Mother's Day. I was in my office coming up with a sermon on Saturday afternoon because I was bivocational. I was up in the office and I heard these ladies yelling in the kitchen. I mean, their voices started. At first, I thought they were joking or laughing.
Yeah.
But then I realized they were angry with each other.
Oh man!
So I went to the landing on the stairway to go to the basement, and I listened. And the older ladies wanted to set up the kitchen and the fellowship hall in one fashion, and the younger ladies wanted to set it up in a different fashion. They had 2 different ideas of how to set up for the dinner.
Okay.
And they were yelling at each other. And I'm thinking, this is a good time for me to go home. So I go back up and I get my laptop and I head out toward my truck. Why? Because I don't want to deal with conflict, bro.
Yeah.
Now, there's an end to that story, and I won't get into it. But I actually didn't. I went back in.
Yeah.
All right, and dealt.
You
with
were
it.
convicted. You're
I
like,
was
man,
convicted.
I do need to be a pastor.
And it
right
worked
now.
out great. It became a really.
Oh, is that right?
It did. It worked out really
Wow.
great. Well, I'm pretty good at what.
Well,
I
you
do.
are. You are.
But
You are a pro. You are a pro.
It worked out great. But my first instinct was to get out of there.
Yeah, right.
So I think when we talk about conflict,
Yep.
as a pastor, often our first instinct is to run from it, avoid it, ignore it, hope it'll go away. It won't go away.
It won't go away.
So when we say view it differently,
Yeah.
view it as an opportunity to reveal to your congregation the gospel is greater than any conflict.
Okay, come on now.
The gospel is greater than any conflict.
Amen.
God can overcome any of this.
That's right.
And this is a great learning opportunity for us.
It's a maturing.
It's a maturing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. How would you talk more about that?
No, I think it's so great. I mean, it's discipleship. I mean, really, part of discipleship is learning and to grow as a follower of Jesus is learning how to forgive.
Yeah.
It's learning how to hold your tongue,
Exactly.
how to practice self-control,
Right.
how to show grace.
Right.
All of those things are involved
Yeah.
with conflict.
And you learn from it.
And you learn
And
from
you learn to depend on Christ and your church. And here's, this is so cool. Are you ready? We always talk about, Antioch and being the sort of where the church really started to spread.
Yep.
But really, what happened was there were Greek widows and Jewish widows that were in conflict over the distribution of food.
Acts chapter 6.
And actually, probably some people were getting more than others. It was
Yep.
probably based in reality
Yeah.
because we're all human.
That's right.
And they were, hey, this isn't being fair. It's not fair. And so what did the first century church do? Did they ignore the conflict? Did they tell these ladies just to shut up? Did they sweep it under the rug? No, they dealt with it head on.
Yeah, that's right.
And they solved the conflict. Now, if you'll allow me to take a few minutes here, one of my mentors in ministry from decades ago was Charles Cheney. He used to be the president of Southwestern Baptist College, and he was my vice president at the Home Mission Board back in the 80s. And Charles said this, and I've never forgotten it. He said, you can imagine, and I realize we're sort of talking here and coming up with some ideas, but I think it's legit. He said, you can imagine that there were a lot of religious sects in Jerusalem in the first century, all kinds, right?
Yep.
And the Christian church at this time wasn't really considered a threat because they weren't under persecution. So he said, you can imagine maybe there's some priests at the temple and they're saying, that new Christian sect that's meeting over there, the new sect that followed Jesus, they weren't called Christians then, but the Jesus, yeah. He said, they're having trouble with the Greek and the Jewish widows. They're fighting each other. And they go, yeah, I know, man. Those widows are always at each other. Those two groups are never going to get along. We'll see how long this group lasts. Well, what happened? The church dealt with it. And those two groups came together and united.
That's right.
And you know what the scripture says? After that happened, many of the priests became believers. Brothers, I'm going to tell you something.
Wow. Yeah.
It was the way the church dealt with that conflict that spoke to the priest and said, this group is different.
Yes, that's right.
This is not a normal thing.
That's right.
These two groups of people do not normally get along. Do you understand?
Yeah.
What Satan meant for evil in that conflict, God used as a platform
That's right.
to display the power of the gospel.
Come on, man.
That's how we view conflict differently.
Yeah, amen.
It's a platform to display to the world we are different
That's
here.
right. That's right.
So you don't avoid it. You move into it with the gospel.
Dude.
And what happened after the conflict was resolved? Many of the priests
I know, that's
became
wild.
believers. That's why
That is. Yeah.
they stoned Stephen.
Yes.
That's when the church became a threat. It wasn't really a threat worth killing someone over until the priest became part of it, and the priest didn't become part of it until they resolved that conflict.
Wow.
And then after they stoned Stephen, then there was the dispersion of the believers, and that's when the missionary movement began. So you could say,
Yeah.
that all of the missionary movement began because the church dealt effectively with conflict.
With a conflict.
So don't run and avoid conflict. See it differently.
Dude, that's really
Number
good.
two, Mr.
Okay,
Hallock.
number 2. Ooh, this stings, but it's so important, is you've got to examine yourself.
Sometimes I'm part of the conflict.
Yeah.
sometimes what they say about me is actually true.
That's right. That's right.
I think as a pastor, you have to truly examine yourself and see what role are you playing in this
Dude,
conflict.
totally. He says we should always look at the plank in our own eye before we consider what others have done to offend us. That's not only biblical advice, it is practical advice. People are more likely to respect your position. This is so true. If they know you are humble enough to consider what you may have contributed to the conflict.
And to ask, what have I
done? Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. How have I made this worse?
Yes.
And be humble and be willing to accept that. Far too often, my initial reaction to when someone accuses me of something or I'm brought into a conflict is very defensive and very argumentative.
You're ready to fight.
Ready to fight.
Yep.
We've all had those opportunities, maybe it's just me. Probably not you, Mr. Hallock, but I've had a few times where people have come up to me and said, I just don't think you should be our pastor. I don't think you should do that. And Mark's hitting the table.
Sorry, I hit the table.
Let's hit it already like this.
Yeah.
Listen. There you go. See,
Makes
we're
music.
It does. It does. We got this little middle table here in all of Orlando, Florida. They don't have a decent table for a podcast. So you're going to hear it from time to time.
Yeah.
And every time you hear us hit that table, that's
love.
your cue to subscribe to this. And as soon as you subscribe, we'll quit hitting
We're
it.
training you. Yes.
Right. Anyway, what was I talking about?
Well, I mean, listen, we're talking about examining yourself. Remember that? Yeah.
So what it was, I've had many times where people have said, I don't think you should be the pastor anymore. I was a transitional pastor of many different churches, and usually this happens because the church wants to do some changes, and my job is to come and make changes. So I've had times when people have really gotten upset and said, you shouldn't be the pastor anymore. My initial reaction when they say that is, oh, really? Well, I am. You deal with it. Or God didn't tell me that.
Yeah.
But when someone comes to you and confronts you with something like that, and maybe they are being totally irrational and they just, maybe they're not even regenerate. I don't know. Yeah. But our initial response really should be, really? Is that what you think I shouldn't be? Yeah. Tell me why. Because I really want to be the best pastor I can. Yeah. And anything you could tell me that would help me be that kind of pastor, I want to do it. So just talk to me and just calm them down a little bit.
That's right.
And realize, you know what? There may be a kernel of truth in this.
Yeah.
There may have been times I have been arrogant. There may have been times I have ignored people. There may have been times I have not lived up to my commitments. Yep. And so look carefully. When it comes to conflict, see what part you're playing in it and be humble.
Dude, one of the most freeing things, again, and we've talked about this on this podcast at times, and I think it's good to come back to it all the time, is just recognizing the fact, I look at my life and my ministry, everything I do, I could do better. Everything. I'm not an expert in anything.
It's a really good word.
And it's like when you believe that, then it shouldn't you got nothing to protect. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
You got nothing to defend. And what it does, it puts you at ease to be able to receive criticism, to receive that. Because in some ways, again, I mean, the best way to dismantle the anger or the criticism of someone in your church is to agree with them. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. And that doesn't mean you're I'm not saying, take the blame for things you shouldn't take the blame of, but let's be honest, man. I mean, like you said, there are pieces of our life where, man, I need to be quick to apologize and say, you know what? I didn't mean anything by that, but I totally hear you.
Yeah.
And you want to disarm people fast who are your critics, agree with them.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do with that because a lot of times your critics are looking for a fight.
Oh, that's what they want.
Yeah, that's what they want.
Yeah, they got their dander up. They're
that's
ready
right.
to go.
And nothing good comes out of that.
No.
So it's being quick. So it's again, as we're dealing with conflict, this is the second main point, is you need to be honest and examine yourself.
Right. And one of the ways you examine yourself is to say to your spouse, your lovely wife, am I really like this at times?
Yeah.
And my dear wife will remind me many times, you're not nearly as friendly as you come off. You really,
Thanks, babe.
You have to work at it, don't you, Mark? I mean, it's not your natural go-to. And so I'm very much aware of that. And she keeps me, and it's wonderful the way our wives, I don't know about your wife, but God, look, I got an ego problem, all right? But he gave me a wife who really deals with that in my life. She's a great edifier of me.
Well,
but we need that.
We
and
do.
We need the
We totally-
honest evaluation, and sometimes the best way to get it is from someone who knows us close. Also, if you've got some elders or deacons around you,
That's right.
say, man, would you please
Yeah.
give me some heads up if I'm part of this problem, even a small part of it. I want to know.
Yeah.
I will tell you that in 50 years of ministry, I have seen many pastors who become very defensive
Mm-hmm.
and very combative and very argumentative, and they make the conflict worse by their way to do it.
Well, and I tell you, it's a blind spot, I think, for a lot of leaders, and it quite frankly, it puts a lid on your leadership, because those kinds of leaders, and I don't care if you're the lead pastor or if you're a youth pastor or whatever, people don't want to follow a leader that they're afraid they could set off in the snap of a finger. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
And so you're walking on eggshells all the time. And
Oh.
and again, we know those kinds of leaders. Might I ask, are you one of those?
Yeah.
And you don't even realize it. And I would say, brother, man, this is where you talk with your wife, you talk with others, because you don't want to be that guy. I'm telling you, that could be the thing that prevents your church from growing in a healthy way.
Oh, man.
Just by your defensiveness. People
And
don't.
let's be honest.
Yes.
Sometimes we get so wounded. We've been hurt so many times by people that we lash out at somebody.
That's true. That's
we
true.
spend $20 on a 10-cent issue.
Yeah.
Somebody comes along and gives us a little bit of something, and we unload this whole bunch of stuff on them that we've been carrying around from 100 other people who did stuff to us.
Man, that's so true.
And so, we do. We spend $20 on their 10-cent issue.
And so we got to deal with that. That's heart stuff.
Yes, it's heart stuff.
Yep.
And as the writer of this article says, many of the things we get most defensive about and most upset about aren't biblical, and they're not that big a deal anyway, and just let them go.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
mean, people just says something about, I went back to the church where I grew up, and I was their interim pastor, and I grew up here. It's where
Wait, which church was
this was Emmanuel and Independence. Now
Okay,
that you made me say it, I'm going to
Okay,
get in trouble.
Okay.
But anyway, I was there from the time I was like 14 till I went to college.
Okay.
And so I went back. My dad pastored there. I went back a number of years ago to be their interim pastor. And there was an older man there. He'd been a deacon, and he was still there. He's probably in his late 80s by that time, really old. And I was walking out of the church the first Sunday I was there. This is just older people some ways. He looked at me, "You Mark Clifton?" Yeah, I said, "Man, you sure have gotten fat." Now, how do you respond to that? Well,
was this deacon there when you were younger?
yeah, he was there. He
Gee
me.
whiz.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, first of all, you can't deny he was speaking truth, right? And secondly, when people get to that age, sometimes there's no filter anymore, right?
Thanks,
But
Deacon Bob.
I'm joking. But there are times people bring something up like
No,
that
yeah,
about your personality, your
yeah,
style.
right.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Don't fight them over that. Don't get defensive over that. Don't get hurt over that.
that's right.
I mean, whatever they think you are, you're really a lot worse than that anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
And so just there's a lot of stuff that doesn't really matter, we make matter, and we shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Stuff that is important, that is biblical, that involves your leadership, again, you deal with it in a calm and dispassionate way. And how do you do that? Brothers and sisters, you find your worth in Jesus Christ
That's
and
right.
what he's done.
Amen.
And you're not trying to find your worth in what people think about you.
Yep.
Because we say it almost every time in this podcast. If you're living for what people think about you, you're feeding off of your people. You're not feeding.
Yeah, that's good.
And go ahead.
Well, I was going to say this. One of the things you just hit on that I do think is really important is growing in discernment over criticism. So,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? So there takes wisdom and discernment along with humility, right? So we want to be humble, but you also need to discern, is this a legitimate criticism,
that's so good.
right?
Yeah.
Or is this somebody
Just let it go.
who just, yeah, exactly. Is it
Let it
even
go.
worth,
Is
yeah,
it even
exactly.
worth it?
And so you need discernment.
And that's why you need a plurality of leaders in a church.
You really do.
Elders or deacons. And you got to go to them and go, this is really driving me crazy. Am I reading this wrong? Am I putting too much into this? Or is this really something we should look at?
That's right.
Because sometimes in our human kind of way we are, we can't see the difference.
Yep.
And so that's real important. Okay, so we've only done 2 of these.
That's okay. We're doing another
We're gonna do
episode.
another podcast.
Another episode.
I mean, and they don't cost you anything.
No, that's right. So we've hit 2. We've
Just
talked
2.
about viewing conflict differently.
That's right. Seeing it as a chance to proclaim the gospel.
Yep.
And secondly,
Is examining yourself.
and see what role you have in
Exactly.
it. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
So we're going to keep rolling to the next
We
one.
are going to keep rolling to the next one. This is Revitalize and Replant with Mark Clifton, Mark Hallock. Kyle Bierman is over here looking up things to do at Epcot tomorrow when he goes there. And we are in Orlando. So if you're here in Orlando, you want to stop by and see us, come on down. We're in room 220E. So 220 east.
Good luck
Come on-
finding it.
Come on down. We'd love to see you. All right. Thanks.
Thanks for joining us today on Revitalize and Replant with Mark Clifton and Mark Hallock. This podcast is brought to you by the North American Mission Board, where we help dying or struggling churches regain health for the glory of God and the good of their communities. If you found this podcast helpful, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. To learn more about becoming a replant pastor or to explore revitalization resources for your church, subscribe to our monthly newsletter at churchreplanters.com.